And to talk more about this story, I'm joined live via phone by Badis Khenissa, political and foreign affairs analyst from Paris. Well, in your opinion, Badis, why was the Zionist entity stripped of its suggested observer status in the African Union?
Good afternoon. First of all, if allow me, I would say that we welcome this historic decision, as we should recognize also the Algerian diplomacy for leading efforts and struggles to enable today the African Union Summit, I would say, to take the right and fair decision. Zionist entity should never be awarded for its Palestine occupation, even for its apartheid regime and violations of the United Nations security resolutions related to the Palestine or Palestinian, I would say, people rights. This decision finally is totally in line with the previous African Union positions and even supports to the Palestine cause, even since several decades. And therefore, I would say that's finally a logic issue. We may remind also that a hard work and engaged diplomacy at even a double levels, I would say, African continent and also at the Arab world level have been produced recently. The Algerian state has led the overall process between brackets to achieve this, or I would say the common goal of several Arab and African countries. With this Algerian leadership, we just brought at the end a justice by stopping what I called a hold-up attempt against the African Union sovereignty and unity.
Nice. Badis, what are the possible repercussions of this decision on the African Union regarding the unity of the African organization?
Honestly, in fact, this decision comes to remind the basic principles of the African Union organization. Means collegiality, dialogue, and consensus, away from unilateral resolution and decision as we witnessed easily regarding the Israel observer status decision. We note at the same time a new geopolitical policy in the world in the last, I would say, couple of years, probably illustrated by a new and global world order emerging, obliging the states to be mandatory, belong to a strategic partnership and even regional work and power spaces. For that reason, and probably others, the African Union members shall eventually make choices later on. But the main rule should be safe, secure, and I would say protect the organization foundations and purposes, means, in other words, the common interest of the states and peoples, African peoples, of course. Of course, the Zionist entity and its slaves, between brackets, shall keep a political and security pressure through, of course, lobbying and whatever, to increase more the division between the countries. And this topic, I would say, should be and must be one of the critical and major challenges that the African Union should face collectively in the next period.
As a final question here, Badis, what is your reading on Algeria's President Tebboun's statement stressing on fighting terrorism in this summit?
Listen, security, stability, and integrated development is one of the Africa key success, I would say. Algeria as a major actor and key player even in the African continent, combined, of course, to the terrorism and I would add organized crime fight experience, which is a real part, I would say, of her army DNA. I would say Algeria today works hardly to promote and apply her vision and her roadmap to fight reliably and even permanently against the terrorism. The President Abdelmajid Tebboune has shown a deep expertise and even acknowledgement on the terrorism fight strategy because finally he knows very well by experience what might be, I would say, the consequences on the continent. I would remind that the several regions today, like Sahel and Mali areas, are under insecurity pressure. Regions where Algeria, of course, is fully aware about details and even involvements. That's why I would say the action plan proposed by Algeria is realistic and even pragmatic, by advising even to promote the terrorism prevention at the early stages. Region and continent, as a reminder, when we know that maybe many Western countries, mainly neo-colonialist, I would say, and even imperialist countries, are still trying to keep their economic interests. At the end, I would say Africa's future is definitely related to its stability and its unity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Badis Khenissa, for bringing all of these insights. And you joined us live from Paris.